just eat it. Don't wanna argue, I don't wanna debate. Don't wanna hear about what kind of food you hate.
Hello and welcome to the Don't At Me Food Reviews podcast, where our ratings and hot takes are 100% accurate, and if you disagree, you are wrong. Joined with me today is someone who brings something when he's told not to bring a thing. He's everyone's favourite. Mark, how you doing?
Not bad, Mitch. Thanks for having me this week.
Pleasure. Also joined with me today is the group's picnic bar. He's deliciously ugly. Wilson, how you doing?
I'm hurt after that, but interesting introduction. I suppose other than that, I'm fine.
Excellent. All right, Wilson, why don't you tell us a little bit about the podcast and why we decided to start it?
Oh, okay. So the other day, one of our old mates from uni basically put on Twitter a list of his chocolate rankings that were just completely wrong. So after a bit of discussion, we've decided to start this podcast ranking different foods and drinks completely out of spite.
If you're listening, Smurden, get good, mate. Come on.
Excellent. All right. So that's the way the podcast works and how its origins. Each week we'll pick a different food item or a drink item between the three of us, and we'll give it a rating out of 10. Then we'll get our averages, and the consensus rankings will be beyond dispute. Mark, starting off this week, what food item have we got?
This week we've decided to go with the classic Arnotts Shapes.
I think
so, boys, a bit of history of shapes.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this into a game, though.
All right.
First off, where do you boys reckon, and when do you reckon shapes were created?
Do you want to go first, Mitch?
I'd say 1930s in Texas.
Interesting.
Texas, mate. They've got to be Australian.
Oh, you're right.
I'm going to say, I think Arnott's are pretty old, but I'm not quite sure how old shapes are. I'd probably guess in the 70s.
All right, boys. The answer was 1954,
Oh.
and they were created in Geelong, Victoria.
There you go.
There you go.
So not quite as old, Mitch, and not quite as new, Wilson.
I learn something new every day.
Yeah, you want to learn something else new, Mitch?
Teach me something, Mark.
Packets do you think are consumed each year?
In Australia or worldwide?
In Australia.
3 million packets. 3 million packets.
3 million? Wilson, how many do you reckon?
That seems too low. I think you're underestimating how much people absolutely love shapes. I'm going to say 100 million.
100 million?
Oh,
Jeez, that is a lot.
Is that half of you, Wilson?
Yes.
Yes. The actual answer was 53 million.
53 million. That's like 2.5 per Australian. Yeah, but
2.5 per Australian.
But you went.
2.5 packets per Australian.
You went over, Wilson.
Wilson takes up the quota.
But Wilson, you went over. Price of Right rules state that if you go over,
Point to Mitch on that one.
boom, 1-1.
1-1. All right, so I've got a final question for you boys to break the tie here. Take a stab at what you reckon the current tagline for shapes. I'm going to start with you here.
Sorry, was that
me?
Yeah, what do you reckon the tagline for shapes is?
I'm just going to assume it's still flavour you can see.
Well, if Wilson's taken that, I guess I'll have to go with, was it oven baked, not fried?
Yeah, look, both are correct, but the most correct is actually Wilson's.
Huzzah! Sucked in, Mitch.
There you go. 2-1 Wilson. All right.
Wilson this week. I'm going to start keeping track of this.
Thank you for that, Mark. It was
All
very
I do is
insightful.
win, so...
Oh, now I've got that stuck in my head now. All I do is win, no matter what. Anyway, all right, on to the rankings, fellas. Our first shape we will be ranking today is the trusty pizza shape. Mark, out of 10?
I've given this a 9. I think it's like quite the god tier kind of shape. But I struggle to give shapes a 10 because I don't eat them as regularly as you boys do.
Right.
So I don't have a go-to flavour. I'm happy with like any of the flavours.
Okay. So you're pretty happy with 9 then?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with 9 like shapes. Like if you told me to bring a pack of shapes to a party,
Yep.
I'm bringing pizza.
That's fair. It's sort of everyone's favourite, you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a strong choice.
Excellent. And Wilson, your ranking or your score for pizza shapes, please.
I'm going to slightly disagree with Mark. I think it is among the top tier, but I put it just outside that god tier. So I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10.
It's one of the best, but just outside that top tier for mine.
Fair enough. I've gone for a ranking of 9 as well. I think nobody can hate on Shapes. It's not the best. I can't give it a 10 out of 10 because something else takes that spot. But I agree, it's up there. Very high. So that gives us a total out of 30 of, what's that, 26? 26?
27.
27? 26.
Shows how good we are at maths. How did I get 20?
It's 26. 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 8.
Plus 8.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, that's shape number 1. Moving on to shape number 2. It's Shapes Savory. Mark, if you have any kind words or unkind words for Shapes, tell us with your score.
I don't think I have a kind word for savory Shapes.
All right, Mark, what is your score?
I think I've consumed like 2 packets of them in my life.
Yes.
In 23 years, I've consumed probably 2 packets of these, and I can't even remember what they taste like.
And your ranking is?
I've given them a 1. I've given them a 1.
A 1. All right. Wilson, I'll ask you for your score now.
Unlike Mark, who has forgotten the taste, I've only had 1 box of this flavour, and I will never forget because it's absolutely disgusting. I'm giving it a 1 out of 10.
That is 100% your opinion, and so be it. I've marked down 1. I have gone with a 2 out of 10, just because I don't believe that anything can be that bad. Like, if it was the last thing on earth, I'd eat it. It provides sustenance, but that's about it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Sustenance, but does it provide nutrition is the real question.
I don't think any of these really provide nutrition,
So
but they taste damn good. Just not savoury.
Just not savoury. All right, so that gives us a score of 4 out of 30. All right, next up we have the cheese and bacon shapes. Mark, hit us up.
Alright, I've given this a 3, and the reason I've given this a 3 and not a 1 is because this was the pack of shapes that I grew up on, being the youngest child. So, pizza would be missing, another flavour that we'll be talking about later was always missing. So cheese and bacon was always the last one there, being the youngest, had to eat it.
So if there was like a variety pack of shapes.
Yeah, there's like a variety pack that you used to get for your recesses.
Yep.
I'd end up with the C and B.
The C and B shapes.
So your brother got all the good flavours, and you were left with cheese and bacon.
Yeah. Cheese and bacon and another flavour I'll talk about.
All right, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Wilson, moving on to your score.
Unlike Mark, I don't have any emotional scars about this flavour. It's not one of the best, but it's better than most of the other lower tier flavours. I'd give it more than a pass mark, so I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
A 6 out of 10. I'm following the same suit. I also gave it a 6. It's it's that mid-tier shape. You'll say yes to it over other shapes, but if there's other shapes on the board, you're going to take those any other day. All right, so that gives us a total of 15 out of 30.
That's a pass mark.
It is.
It's acceptable.
You'd get through university on 15 out of 30. Our 4th shape, barbecue shapes. All right, Mark, hit us with your ranking, please.
All right, this one, a lot of people will debate. I think this is a 6. I never loved pizza. I never loved barbecue. My go-to in the variety pack, if I got the first dibs, was always pizza. Barbecue is always a close third, I'm going to say.
Okay. Wilson, your ranking, please.
I put this in the God tier section. I know more people probably like pizza, but I rate barbecue a lot more, so I give barbecue a 9 out of 10.
A 9?
What is it about barbecue that you like so much, Wilson?
It's just a good mix of a little bit of spice, but not too spicy. Pairs well with a nice can of Pepsi, I think. I'm just a fan.
Fair
Fair
enough.
enough.
Excellent. I've given barbecue shapes a 7. It's definitely not my favourite. It ranks above cheese and bacon. There's obviously pizza I enjoy more, and another one I enjoy more. I just find the taste maybe just you can't have too much of them. Too much and you get it's a bit off-putting, but more so than cheese and bacon and savoury. So
Yeah, I back that.
Yeah.
It's probably not one where you can eat the whole packet in one sitting.
Absolutely. All right, 6 plus 9 is 15, plus 7 is 22 out of 30. All right, moving
Done well.
on to our next shape. We have Shapes Chicken Crimpy. Mark, hit us with your ranking, please.
All right, this one I found hard because it used to not have the variety packs, but as a big box, so this is my go-to big box.
Okay,
So I've given this a 9.
a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Excellent. Wilson, your ranking, please.
I think this is pretty universally one of people's favourite flavours of shapes. I would go as far as to say as this is the ideal snack in Australia. I would give this a 10 out of 10.
A 10 out of 10.
It's the perfect kind of snack.
Okay, I might disagree with you on the perfect snack, but in terms of best shape, I also agree. I give it a 10. It's something you could sit down with a cool beverage and just you could eat that whole box and not feel guilty.
What kind of cold beverage do you reckon it pairs best with, Mitch?
Chicken crimpy, mate. You're having a Pepsi Max or a Coke, but that's a different podcast, Mark. Don't get me started. So that gives us a total of 29 out of 30. We've got a clear favourite by the looks of it. All right, our what's that? 6th shape. We've got shapes that aren't yours. They're nacho cheese shapes.
Classic.
You absolutely butchered that.
I did. Anyway, speaking of butchering, Mark, what's your ranking?
I've given these a 5. They're another one that's like unremarkable, but I do like the cheese.
You like the cheese factor?
Yeah, I like the cheesy tang, and I think I'll comment on more on the cheesy factor with potentially the next flavour.
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave it at a 5. It's a passable one you can bring to a party.
All right. Wilson, your ranking, please.
I give this one a pass. It's definitely the pinnacle of mid-tier shapes, I would say. So I give it a 5. But in saying that, it's not one that I would bring to a party.
It's not a party.
I feel like this is one if you brought it to a party, they'd be like, "Oh, you bought shapes."
You brought nacho.
Hey.
It's like a guilty pleasure flavour.
Yeah,
Like you eat it on your own, but you never take it anywhere with you.
yeah. You wouldn't eat that in public if it was your favourite.
Nah, people would stare at you.
I've given it a 4. It's the worst of those mid-tier shapes for me. You know, barbecue, cheese and bacon, and then nachos. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Yeah,
That's fair.
you're not making a recommendation for nacho cheese shapes. So that gives us a ranking of a score of 14 out of 30.
Just below the pass mark.
Just below.
I think that's fair.
All right. And finally, we have the cheddar shapes.
Cheddar.
Cheddar. Mark?
So I've given this one a 7. And this is you know how I was saying that I used to get all the crappy flavours out of the variety pack?
Yes.
This is my go-to shitty flavour out of the variety pack.
Wow. Like if I had
This is my day one flavour.
Okay. All
I
right.
ride or die with these shapes.
Okay.
If there's no like god tier level ones left, I'll ride or die with cheddar shapes.
Fair enough. So that's sort of what your experience and your ranking is based off is your experience growing up with these shapes.
Growing up with these shapes, it's still one that I'd go back to. Whereas like the cheese and bacon ones, don't love anymore.
Fair enough. Okay, Wilson, your ranking, please.
I'm in the same boat as Mark. I give it a 7 out of 10. It's definitely not the best, but of the shapes that are outside the top three, I think it's pretty good. But it's probably one that I would only ever go to on the odd occasion. It's not one that I would regularly eat.
Okay.
So 7 out of 10.
A 7 out of 10. All right. I'll be honest. I gave it 2. I haven't had much experience with cheddar shapes, but the ones I have had, I didn't really enjoy. So I apologize for letting down the ranking. And people may disagree, but obviously they're wrong. Which gives this a passing mark of 16. Now, Wilson, I believe that you had something to share with us. Is that right?
Yeah, just before I get to that, though, I would just like to give an honourable mention to Vegemite.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Because it is a fairly recent one. But I actually do rate it, and I would give it an 8 out of 10, just for the record.
Okay.
Now, for my own little segment, I've decided that each week I'll take a deep dive into YouTube and basically look at some of the ads for these products in the past. There might be some of the best or most iconic ads, but in this instance, I've thought it was an absolutely stupid ad, and it had to be included. It was really, really hard to go past the iconic pizza shapes ads where someone was looking at the shape and they zoomed in and you could see like a bunch of Italian people singing.
Yep.
Those are great ads, but in my deep dive, I came across a truly stupid ad.
All right.
So, Mitch, why don't you whip it up?
I'll bring it up now. Here we go.
Starving.
Oh, this guy's found himself wrestling with his hunger.
It's a stress.
Gonna get the better of him. And he's down. Ouch, I felt that. This could get ugly, folks. The little fella's hanging in there. But wait, oh yes, this'll do it. The baked biscuit with flavor you can see. Oh,
If we inevitably wrestle, this is what's going to happen.
Hunger's gone.
Arnotts Shapes, the big flavor that hammers the hunger.
What the fuck?
All right, so just breaking down that ad.
Hit me with it.
So it's a bunch of people walking in the house. They're like, "Oh, we're so hungry," and then this guy jumps from the shelves and he's like, "I'm your hunger," and then just starts wrestling. And he throws them across the room and he flies through the shelves, finds shapes, and then picks up the shapes and slaps the guy across the face so hard that he goes flying across the room.
I'll be honest, I've never seen that ad before, and I was certainly surprised. I'll give you that.
I think I was taking a look, and it came out in 2002. So ads have clearly changed a lot in the last few years.
Yes, I agree.
Just imagine getting slapped by a box of shapes so hard that you went flying.
Death by shape. All right. We're coming to the close of this podcast, so let's review our scores and give them our rankings. So we've got Savoury on 4 points, which unfortunately ranks it. Oh, that's not the right button. We've got Savoury on 4 points, which gives us 7th, and then a big leap. Yeah, probably it sucks. And then a big leap from 7th to 6th. We have Nacho Cheese. In 5th, we have Cheese and Bacon. In 4th, we have Cheddar. And then I think the top 3 are pretty, no one's going to disagree about the order. That people might disagree about the order of the top 3, but I think the top 3 are pretty safe. So
Absolutely.
I think even barbecue at 3rd, not many people will debate.
3rd, we've got barbecue. In 2nd, we have pizza. And the best shape, unequivocally, is the chicken crimpy shape.
I think you'd be hard pressed finding someone out there that didn't think that chicken crimpies were the best flavour.
I agree.
And if they do disagree, they are wrong.
That's right.
Dead wrong.
That's absolutely right.
29 out of 30. You can't dispute that.
It's the people's shape. It's what we want. what we've given. All right. Any final remarks, lads, before we close off this podcast?
Just anyone listening, if you have any recommendations for ratings or anything you'd like to see, feel free to let us know.
And where can they find you if they want to message you, Milson?
Milson?
Good old Milson.
Just look us up on Facey or Twitter.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right.
Or on YouTube.
Oh, yes, YouTube, obviously. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys, that was the first podcast of the Don't Add Me Food Reviews podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.